life. Whether you're ready or not, sometimes it's rough. And it takes all that you've got, but he's been here, just waiting for you to knock. So take his hand and plant your feet on the rock. I want to live my life on the rock. I want to build my life on the rock. I want to live my life on the rock. I want to build my life on the rock. I want to live my life on the rock. I want to build my life on the rock.
Hi, welcome to Life on the Rock. Tonight our guests are Hope and Justin SCHNEIR. They form the Hope and Justin Band. They are here with their band members. They've recorded 4 songs for us tonight, and they are a beautiful Catholic family, 6 kids, 1 on the way. They're going to share their faith and something of their family life with us tonight. Good to see you, Doug.
You too, Father.
You know, tonight I want to talk about marriage.
Yes.
You know, sometimes go to the conferences and everything. I know my preaching oftentimes is around prayer and meditation and adoration and confession and everything. And I'm always aware that, you know, and I don't do it enough, but we have to speak about the sanctification of married life itself. You know, what is, because a married couple can't live like a monk or a friar in a friary. How do they become holy? What are their means of holiness? And I think Pope Francis addressed this to some degree in a recent general audience on marriage. And he speaks of marriage as being a form of consecration, where the man and woman are consecrated in their love. And the spouses, in fact, in virtue of the sacrament, are invested with a true and proper mission, so that starting with the simple, ordinary things of life, they may make visible the love with which Christ loves his church by continuing to give his life for her in fidelity and service. He was referring earlier to Ephesians 5, where we say it makes this comparison of how Jesus, the bridegroom, loves his bride, the church, that marriage is a sacrament. It's a mystery that represents this very love that Jesus has for the church. So the thing that caught my attention was, he said, starting with the simple and ordinary things of life, they make visible the love which Jesus has for the church. So in all the regular, ordinary duties of married life, caring for children, loving your spouse, sharing with your spouse, you know, communicating with your spouse, all that is a path of sanctity, that it's caught up, taken up in the sacrament where Jesus is present in the marriage. He's present in the bond of marriage, I guess we could say, and that all the things that are part of living out marriage faithfully is going to be a path to holiness.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a cross there. There's a Paschal mystery
no,
there.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, the part that caught me about what he said there was about the dishes. Read the part about the dishes, Father.
All right. He goes
I
on.
found that very interesting.
He goes on. He gets kind of humorous. He says the important thing is to keep alive their bond with God, who stands as the foundation of the marital bond. He said it's true that there are so many difficulties in married life. He said insufficient work, money, children might have problems. He said there's arguments, you know, it can be a stress on the marriage. He said they argue. This is how it is. There is always arguing in marriage. Sometimes the plates even fly. Yet we must not become saddened by this. This is the human condition. The secret is that love is stronger than the moment when there is arguing. And therefore I always advise spouses, do not let a day when you have argued end without making peace. Always, to make peace. It isn't necessary to call the United Nations to come to the house and make peace. He said a little gesture is sufficient, a caress, and then let it be, and until tomorrow. You know. And then,
yeah, but I do want to comment on what you said earlier. You know, I joke around a little bit about that because it is easy, especially when you read the lives of the saints and the history of our church and these great heroic actions and things that the saints have done. It's easy to forget that it's really the heroic day-to-day, as he mentions in there, the day-to-day living out of the faithfulness, the giving of oneself to another, what I give to my wife, what she gives to me, and living that out with that dedication, that commitment, knowing that it's a daily choice that I'm going to continue to do this. This is not just a one-time thing. And you know, I spoke those vows. For me, it's been 24 and a half, almost years now. I spoke those vows. That should have taken care of it. Yeah, I told her I loved her 13 years ago. What she still want me to tell her again? It should be a daily winning her heart and her daily presenting herself in a way to be winnable, so to speak, so that there is that mystery and that beauty between there. And it is the changing of diapers and the hard work and the paying bills and the making sure that the oil's changed in the car and all those little things like that. Paying attention to what my wife wants with, cleaning up this room or making sure that I'm attentive to certain things that help her life go smoothly.
Right.
It doesn't sound heroic in the sense of standing before a king somewhere and not renouncing my faith and having my head cut off.
Right.
That may happen. You never know in these days. But it is those day-to-day moments that really, really do test us in marriage and really test the love, I mean.
Yeah.
Test the love to see if it really is deeply committed to the cross first before it can be committed to your spouse.
Right. And I was reading too, Familiaris Consortio, the Family in the Modern World by Pope John Paul II. He said, Christian spouses have a special sacrament by which they are fortified and receive a kind of consecration in the duties and dignities of their state. By virtue of this sacrament, as spouses fulfill their conjugal and family obligations, they are penetrated with the Spirit of Christ, who fills their whole lives with faith, hope, and charity. Thus, they increasingly advance towards their own perfection, as well as towards their mutual sanctification, and contribute jointly to the glory of God. I think that should be so reassuring, because John Paul II made an effort to canonize married people and beatify married people as witnesses to this is a real path of holiness and sanctity. The dignity and the grace of the sacrament raise up all those normal everyday actions that a family does as a path to holiness. He's present there.
And in light of what's going on in our world today with the attacks on marriage, from just secularism in general, distraction, indifference, to the attacks from those who have the agenda to destroy marriage and bring in the so-called gay marriage approach, all of this combined is really tearing at marriage, which makes it even more necessary for us as married couples, me, my wife, and all you out there who are married, to really be that example and that witness. As both these popes that Father just quoted are encouraging us as married couples to be. Really be a light in this world, what it is to be, a committed, loving couple that really is the best example of the Trinity. It's been said by many saints and popes in the past that the best example of the Trinity is found in a marriage, is in the family there. The love between the husband and the wife and bringing forth children and so forth. So it's a serious time for us to really take these words of these great popes, these great writers seriously. And
we'll talk about it maybe next time, that it has an essential role in the new evangelization, the witness of married life. And it just speaks to people's hearts, especially our young people who often want to get married. They see that in married life, and it calls them and speaks to them and teaches. So. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with Hope and Justin, so don't go away. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Tonight we're joined by Hope and Justin SCHNEIR. It's the last time I'm going to say it tonight. I got it right, Hope?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You all are married. How many years have you been married?
14 years.
14. Congratulations.
Yeah, we just celebrated our anniversary. I'm surprised you got that right.
All right, you practiced that?
We were married in 2000. It's 2014. It's not that
true.
And you got one on the way, right?
Yeah.
Right. When's the due date?
October 5th. Surprised I got that right? Doing great. So far, we got it.
All right. Now, you all are folk musicians. Now, why do you describe yourselves as folk musicians and not like Catholic musicians?
Yeah, well, I grew up in a family of people that played music, folk music in particular, kind of just old folk songs. We listened to a lot of folk music, and my dad and my sister played, and my uncles and cousins played, so we all played together. And we were Catholic, but it was, I think I mentioned before that in Vermont there's not a lot of Catholic people, and it was just kind of a fun family thing that we did, and it was just enjoyment. It was pure enjoyment. It wasn't necessarily like praise and worship or anything. And then I started writing songs at a young age, and when I met Justin in Steubenville, he'd written songs too, and we kind of shared songs, and that was part of how we started dating. And yeah, I mean, what would you say to that question?
Well, to me, music, like you said, just for the sake of music, it's the beauty of music itself. I think it draws you in, and it doesn't have to be explicitly Catholic.
Right.
But the messages, and it could just still draw you to God, even if you don't use the words Jesus in your song.
Yeah, I guess I bring it up partly because we're always talking about the new evangelization, and anything that's true, good, and beautiful serves the Lord, glorifies Him, and can really bring people into the church.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I like about it too is you can touch groups of people that might have this real bias against the gospel or Christianity, right? You all are in Southern California, right, doing this.
Yeah, and the shows we've just recently started like playing shows and having so much fun with our band, but we just play at regular venues, and regular folks are listening to us.
Yeah.
And Catholic people tend to like our music a lot because they can sort of recognize the Catholic themes, but it's not it's not necessarily geared toward them. It's more of a human thing, and I love that because I really feel like when you get in touch with your own humanity, that's the first step towards really getting in touch with God.
Right.
And I think music in particular is a real avenue to that. And hopefully, if it's good music, you're getting in touch with, you're getting in touch with yourself. And that's why we all love listening to music. But I've thought about recently too how...
Well, let me catch there.
Sure.
They tell me we got to go to the first song. We'll come back, hold that thought, and we'll talk about the song. So the first song we have for you tonight is Lay You Down. I love the folk music style. It just kind of relaxes me. Do y'all have to relax? You're in LA. That's pretty intense, though, doesn't it?
It's a rat race, but music's kind of the place we can go to just reconnect with each other and even with our family and,
Right.
and the kids.
Because you're not full-time musicians, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, I consider us amateur musicians.
You have a 9-to-5 job.
I have a 9-to-5 job.
And hobby musicians, really.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, we just
We're not
recorded our
doing it
second
for
CD, Eastern Bound, and we're in the process of recording our third CD. So we take it pretty serious.
Right. And what I love about your story too is that you live near Thomas Aquinas College, and a lot of the students come over and play with you and interact. And
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, so we started after we had our last child, our second to last child, Thomas More. We call him Maury, and so we started Tuesday nights with Maury, and we just basically invited over all of our friends and anyone who wanted to come to our house to play music.
But typically the people that can come to our house to play music were single people, because everyone like us, you're like putting kids to bed and then you're like, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. So single people, like college kids, would end up coming over and we would have a great time. That's who we got to play music
The
with.
first segment about marriage and living out in that sanctification, and you just described it perfectly right there. Put the kids to bed, we're tired. It's just, oh my goodness, there's nothing heroic in this. And yes, there is something heroic in that, but you're actually doing something like this music. I'm curious, if you don't mind me jumping back a little bit, you went to Steubenville, you said.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you meet? How did he first approach you? I love these stories.
No, actually,
right?
this is a
And does he remember any of it?
I was behind a bush, and I jumped out and scared her, startled her.
This is pretend.
This was someone else. Oh, I'm sorry. We shouldn't bring
And
that
then
up.
there's his old wife.
No, how did you first introduce yourself to her?
We actually met it was Hope's first college party, and
Yeah, I went to college kind of like independent, like I'm not dating anyone for a long time, at least 2 or 3 years. I'm not even looking at boys. And then it was the first weekend I was there, the first college party I went to, and he was the first guy I met at the party. He was sitting on the doorstep. And I totally thought he was cute, but I thought he was friends with my older sister. We were chatting about that, and I kind of thought like, oh, big brother, we're just going to be buddies. I didn't think that that anything would actually come of it.
and that night actually we found out we both played music. So I went upstairs, grabbed a couple guitars, went downstairs, and we started playing. Before we knew it, we had 30, 40 people around us requesting us to play different songs. So we played music the first
At that
night.
point, were you thinking of the names of your children then? That were gonna Thomas More, John Baptist.
Yeah.
So then, how did he propose to you?
He proposed to me. This was actually interesting because we got married. I was 20. I was supposed to be drinking at my wedding, so that was really young. But and that was a switch for me because I totally didn't ever think that would be my path. But I had gone to Gömming in Austria, where the Steubenville has their study abroad program, and my dad told me right before I left, like, Justin asked for your hand in marriage, and I was like, are you kidding? So I went to.
Did you have any idea that was coming?
No, not at all.
So your dad just kind of let the cat out of the bag nonchalantly?
But I'm so glad he did, because I spent tons of time praying in that chapel, just being like, Lord, is this what you want? And as much as I loved Justin, as much as I wanted to marry him, I really felt I knew it was coming, and I was prepared to say yes because I really knew it was what God wanted. I really felt that it was God's will that we got married. And I know not everyone gets that, but I think God gave that to me in particular because it was something I was kind of nervous about. Getting young was something I never anticipated doing.
So then, how did he propose?
So
we're at Heaven's Beach in California on the 22nd of December.
hey, good.
Wow.
And
Man, you're making points.
I know.
Right now.
22 is our lucky number.
Okay.
So, and we were on the beach and the sun was setting, and I was kind of shaking in my boots and like, all right, the sun's going to go down if I don't ask soon. So
I'd like to say
before
what
it got
you said
dark,
too, because it's super romantic, and you probably don't even remember it, but I'm going to say it, and maybe you do. Do you remember what you said? You said, you got on your knees and you said, will you do me the honor of letting you serve me? letting me serve you. That would have not been romantic. He said, can I serve you for the rest of my life? Isn't that sweet?
Beautiful,
I know. And I was like, I guess, sure.
Now this is our next song.
Sounds like a song you should
Yeah,
write.
isn't that beautiful?
Can I serve you the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get you get busy on that, would you?
Yeah, I know.
But our next song
three
is
will
St. Michael's VW. Set that up for us.
This song, it's all about me dying and what hope would want for me in my death and those moments before I come to God.
But I'd like to tell
stand
the
before God.
story of the VW. He always wanted a VW, and then we scrounged up and we saved enough money, and we bought like an old, like really cool. What year was it?
1972.
Yeah.
A bug?
No, bus.
Oh, a bus.
VW
Okay.
bus. It was
Gotcha.
a Safari Highboy.
Wow.
And long story short, we had a horrible fire. After we got it all restored, and it was like the fun. We had a barn fire, and it burned in the fire.
So 4 years. Basically, it was 4 years me fixing this thing up, and it burned down a week after it was finished.
So that was like.
So there's a lot of VW themes in our second album.
Yeah. We still love them.
So you're still working it out.
I'm still looking at it.
Still processing.
We hope you enjoy this next song, St. Michael's VW.
First thing that you see is a beautiful lady with the moon on her feet. She'll lead you to water, take you for a sail. She'll say, don't be afraid, just hold on to my veil. When you die, I hope that the first thing that you do is to hop into St. Michael's VW. You'll say they don't make them like this anymore, and he'll say not up here, there's plenty in store, and there's one just for you. When you die, I hope that the first thing that you find is a lost little child that looks left behind, and you gesture to Michael to pull off the road. His brown eyes grow bigger as the camper comes close, and he says, I knew you'd come. He says, I knew you'd come. Through all of these years, I knew you'd come. I knew you'd come. Through blood and tears, I knew you'd come. When you die, I hope that the first thing that you feel is a suffering soul grabbing onto your heel, and you turn back and say, I will help you up there. I'll track down St. Peter and I'll sit by his chair, and I'll say, how about today? How about today? How long must it go on this way? How about today? For his holy name, let it be today. first see the light. You won't have to squint and you won't have to fight, and your eyes will grow strong when you stare at the sun, and your heart will grow stronger and beat like a drum.
I love the sound, that beautiful voice, and that fiddle player. We have to bring that fiddle player out here, and he's no stranger to Life on the Rock. We'll keep it a surprise, though, and bring him on the last segment. But how can people get a hold of your music if they want to purchase it?
So our website is www.hopeandjustin.com, and CD Baby is where we typically direct people to buy our music, but it's also available on iTunes, and it's on Spotify, and kind of Amazon. It's on all the main channels or venues.
And you all are going to local venues right now in California performing?
Yeah, we don't, with the kids and our family life is really our priority, and we love doing it, but we have to make sure that we don't
interfere.
Yeah, it doesn't interfere. So typically right now we do maybe 6 shows a year or something.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's so fun. We love it. And it's kind of one of the things I love about what we get to do versus people who are in the professional music world is we don't have to meet deadlines. It's totally art, and we get to keep it fresh and keep it fun, and we don't have any, there's no pressure
in the
that
spirit
way.
of Southern California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freedom.
What's that one Guy Clark line about the poet?
There ain't no money in poetry, right?
Yeah, there ain't no money in poetry.
That's what sets the poet free.
That's what sets the poet free. That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's true, and there's really no, obviously if we could sell CDs and help us to record another album, that'd be great.
Right.
But we're not depending on it for feeding the children.
Your work is, what kind of work do you do?
I'm in commercial insurance.
Commercial insurance,
Yeah.
okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Hope and Justin, so don't go away. Back in a moment. Okay, welcome back. Obviously, family life is first for you all. How did God bring music into that for you?
Yeah, I'm happy you asked that. Well, we always wrote songs and enjoyed it, but it was something that was just in our living room. And I always thought when we started having children that we couldn't really do music and children at the same time. We just threw ourselves into parenthood. And we had some good friends of ours who really encouraged us to record. So we recorded our first album 7 years ago with Jeff, who's our drummer, and it was great. But even after that, we kind of left music alone for a while, just because we were in the throes of parenting young children. And I'm even surprised at where we are right now. I never quite expected it, and I also feel like at any given point, we could have to put it aside again. Does that make sense? So I just feel honored and excited that we get to do it, but not married to it.
Right. Storybook Story is the next song. Justin, you want to set that up for us briefly?
Well, I used to always sing that song, Our Love is Like a Storybook Story from the Never Ending Story. And then Hope just kind of took that and developed a love story out of those words.
Great. So we hope you enjoy Storybook Story.
All right.
If you were a knight and I was a queen, would you come to my chamber at night in a dream? Would you help me in my grave responsibilities? Would you name your bright sword after me? If you were Saint Francis and I was Saint Clair, would you let me go with you? Would you cut off my hair? Would we do holy penance while others would stare? Would you love me only in your prayers? You always said our love was a storybook story, and that pure intentions are misunderstood. Well, you took the curse and you offered the glory, and somehow I thought that you would. If I was Maid Marian and you Robin Hood, I'd give to the poor because you were so good. And our glances would last longer than they should, till your merry men pulled you away. And if you were that Darcy and I was Miss Bennet, would you stay on into Netherfield Park as a tenant? Would you meet me in dark woods with rain pouring down? Would you chide me when no one's around? You always said our love was a little piece of heaven that one stormy night just fell out of the sky. Now whenever it rains, I expect something so much that I hate being dry. If you were a dog and you know I was a bone, would you dirty your paws? Would you carry me home? Would you find me a secret place on my own and come back for me when it was right? And if you were a robber and I was a Jew, would you wear a black mask? Would you act like a fool? Would you sit behind bars, not begrudging the rules, knowing that I belong to you? Now you know that I don't believe in novels, but sometimes the story comes right off the page. You lit the candle and you opened the bottle that generations have let age.
All right, Justin, I want to ask you about your Catholic faith. You have different themes running throughout your life that seem like all come together in music some way or another. You're a convert from Judaism, We don't have time to go into the whole story, but tell us about how that leads you into your Catholic faith.
Well, I would say the foundation of Judaism in general is really the foundation of Catholicism, and you can't have one without the other. And Catholicism, all the traditions and everything comes from our Jewish tradition. So in light of those beautiful themes, it enriches my faith so much.
Right.
So it's been a real gift to me to have that knowledge and to be raised Jewish. When I was 15, I came into the church, and I got to take all that I learned and apply it to my Catholic faith, and it's really helped me a lot.
We could tell that part of the story. Your mother was a convert from Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
You're at her baptism. You're 15.
Yeah.
And what happens?
Well, I basically saw her. It was a full immersion, and she came out of the water, and something you'd never say about your mom, that she looked beautiful. Well, she just looked.
At 15.
She was just she looked so beautiful that I just couldn't hold back my tears, and I just cried and cried and cried. And at the church, St. Paschal Balon, they had this beautiful life-size cross. And as a Jew, I could never look at that cross. It was very awkward for me. It'd be like walking into a place and seeing someone on an electric chair being electrocuted. It was just so foreign to me. And for the first time in my tears and seeing this beauty and knowing there was something in my mom I was praying. I'm on my knees. I'm looking through my fingers at this cross and staring. And I said these words. I said, "All right, God, who is this Jesus dude?" In those exact words.
Right.
And at that moment, I was just given the gift of faith.
Wow. And then your brothers and sisters came into the faith, and
We didn't want to divide the family.
Right.
So my brother and sister were baptized with me, and my brother ended up going to Steubenville, and my sister went to Thomas Aquinas College, and all very faithful Catholics.
Right.
And my dad came to the church 7 years later when I was 22.
Right. How about the Southern California theme? Because you had some family members involved in the hippie movement and everything. How has that influenced your music and style?
Well, I grew up listening to those 60s, 70s bands. So it's in me, you know. My friends always kind of joke and call me, a dirty hippie, and I don't consider myself a hippie, but it's in me. There's something I think that's attractive, and it's actually very Catholic when applied properly.
Describe that more.
Well, there's a real sense of love. Now, it's a disordered love often in that whole world.
Right.
But if you could, there is something that they're longing for.
Right.
And something that they express very well at times.
Right.
And so I was very inspired by almost that carefree kind of loving spirit of thinking you could take over this world with love,
Yeah, and a dissatisfaction with the world the way it is, and maybe an openness to something new.
Yeah, that's it.
I think maybe this time it might speak, especially because we're so intense, so fast-paced, that singer-songwriter style might have a special appeal now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's. I think actually that's coming back. We're seeing more and more folk music kind of coming into the scene because there is something that's almost countercultural about it, and you could say things you couldn't say in rock and roll or heavy metal. Yeah. There's messages and emotions you could portray, I think.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, I see then the root of Volkswagen.
Yeah.
If you're in the hippies in the 60s.
Yeah.
A lot of VW bugs and buses painted up. And
Exactly.
Now I see where you're coming from. That makes sense. Okay.
I feel the freedom. Just talking to you, feel the freedom. But Hope, you were going to say something?
I was going to say, one of the things that's so cool about that type of music is you don't need to be an incredible musician to really do it. You can learn a few chords on the guitar and be able to sing along. And the choruses are catchy. There's a lot of repetition, and that's kind of the origins, the roots of folk music, and that kind of got caught wind in the 70s and the 60s, and it's catching on again now. And I think the simplicity of it is its genius, is the fact that it is of the people, and it's not hard to partake in that.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing that I get from it, and just in your songs so far that we've heard tonight and seen you perform tonight, is there's story. There's a lot of story
Yeah.
in folk music that you don't find so much in pop music and
Right.
and rock and roll. You definitely don't find that, or heavy metal. It's more kind of hate, chaos, destruction, anarchy. But there's story in this,
Yeah.
and that does appeal and resonate with so many of us because everybody has a story. We're all living out a story, so to speak, and folk music just seems to kind of put it in a succinct way to help us kind of connect and say, yeah, like the last song we just saw was "Storybook Love" was great. You know, it made me think of my own wife. You know, just the beauty of the connection in relationships, and you get something like that from folk music that you don't get from many other forms of music.
Just the pace of it. You can listen, hear, meditate
Yeah,
on.
process it, digest it. Yeah.
Our next song is Cool One Time. So we'll hope you enjoy that. We'll come back and talk about it.
Everybody was cool one time. Everybody was cool one time. Well, can you think of that time for me? Can you tell me about that one time? Everybody was cool one time. Everybody was cool one time. Well, can you think of that time for me? Can you tell me about that 1, 2, 3? You would be a good-looking man if you weren't so cool. Don't smile at me, you might give away your mysterious self-food. Spend enough time thinking about what you don't have to prove. You look good, but even the old days were hip ones too. Everybody was cool one time. Everybody was cool one time. Can you think of that time for me? Can you tell me about that one time? Everybody was cool one time. Everybody was cool one time. Can you think of that time for me? Can you tell me about that one time? Oh yeah, I heard that one, but you can go ahead and tell it again. You were of the few that brought Converse All-Stars back in. And when you played that prank, the whole room laughed when you walked in. I'm glad you can be proud about what might have been. Everybody was cool one time. Everybody was cool one time. Can you think of that time for me? Can you tell me about that one time? Everybody was cool one time. Everybody was cool one time. Can you think of that time for me? Can you tell me about that one time? Meat or veggie, mac or PC, sweet or salty, wood still concrete, hops or vino, cab or pinot, a latte or a cappuccino, late or early, straight or curly, canine, feline, slim or burly, sporty, punky, artsy, smarty. Were you the one from that party? Don't call me, I'll call you. Isn't that what we people do? I'm not so cool that I don't try to. Everybody was cool one time. Everybody was cool one time. Can you think of that time for me? Can you tell me about that one time? Everybody was cool one time. Everybody was cool one time. Can you think of that time for me? Can you tell me about that one time?
All right, great. Now we have our fiddler joining us, Sean Wood.
How you doing, Father?
Welcome back. You've
Thank
been on the
you.
show a number of times.
Yeah, a couple times with my family, Celtic Spring or the Wood family.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now you're playing with Hope and Justin, and you hope to start your own band as well, right?
Yeah, moving up to Seattle in the fall to start a band with Daniel, who played bass tonight, and then a mutual friend of ours, Perry West. So that should be exciting.
So
Yeah.
what instruments do you play now? You play
I grew up playing the violin and the
Right.
fiddle, but in recent years I picked up mandolin, a little bit of guitar, cello, bass. I just love music so much, it's hard for me not to put all myself into
Right.
that. So it's
And
really-
they were telling me you went to Thomas Aquinas College,
Yeah.
and you wrote a thesis on beauty, right?
Yeah, my thesis was basically how beauty, an encounter with beauty, can lead us to God. Sort of tracing the thought from Plato up to Thomas Aquinas to John Paul II and von Balthasar.
Right.
Since music and the arts are something very close to my heart, I wanted to try to find a way to sort of come from a philosophical standpoint and show how like an encounter with beauty, whether it's through folk music or painting or even something as simple as like a human face or a sunset, those encounters really open our heart to become receptive to God's love. And I think they're really
Right.
necessary in order for a true conversion and in order to really see the faith as something not merely worth following, but worth giving your life for, and just really like something that can really impact the heart, which is like the root of
It
the human
stirs and
person.
calls
Yeah.
the heart to give all, right?
Yeah.
Joy and beauty. And I think of John Paul II,
Yeah.
letter to artists. You
Yeah,
know,
of
he's,
course.
He's calling for artists. We need them to
Yeah.
the new evangelization for the gospel,
Yeah.
right?
And I think that's what's just really incredible about the music that Hope and Justin are doing. It's not obviously explicitly Catholic or even explicitly religious. What it is, it's authentically human. And like they were saying earlier, in order really to come to love God, we have to realize what the human condition is and see that we're made for so much more, and that within our hearts there's this longing, this desire for that communion. And I think folk music really allows us to have that just authentic human encounter, you know?
And what I like about it too is that you all are reaching people that probably are never going to step foot in the doors of a church, right? And, and maybe some of these themes you sing about or can touch them. We only have a couple minutes left. We got to get to your magazine. Tell us about the Catholic Mother's Journal.
Yeah, so I'm a part of this group of women, and we write for this journal. It's called Soul Gardening Journal. It's written by mothers for mothers. It started out as a blog, and really I'm kind of the lamest person in the group. All of the other women are so incredible, and they put so much work into it, but it's lovely. I mean, it's all original artwork, and there's, things about recipes, there's fun things that like liturgical activities, but then there's really intense topics that address miscarriage, marriage issues. It's kind of a real potpourri of women's topics that particularly Catholic women, but it's not only a Catholic audience as well. So it's really taken off. It's grown. We've got up to 1,000 subscribers now, and it runs by donation. So you can go on Facebook and look it up, Soul Gardening Journal. But anyone can sign up to receive the publication, and we print around 4 times a year, but we don't print until we've got enough donations.
So go to Facebook and look up again
Yeah, and I think soulgardeningjournal.com is the
Soul
website.
Garden.
Soul Garden Journal.
Soul
But you
Garden
can
Journal.
check it out on Facebook. Is definitely the best way. But I really recommend it to all mothers. It's wonderful, and we encourage a lot of guest submissions too.
Okay.
So.
They're telling me we got to end the show. It's
That
too
sounds
quickly,
great.
but thank you so much for
Thanks,
joining
Father.
us, Sean.
It was
Great to see you
great.
again, Justin. So, our Heavenly Father shine His face upon you. May He give you His peace. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. We'll see you next week.